Hey everyone, it's Michael Zapersky, and today I'm here with Dr. Sherri Malouf. Sherri, welcome.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here and talk to you.
Yes, yeah, we were even having a great conversation before even hitting record. A few good laughs. So Sherri, you're the chair and principal of situation management systems. For over 30 years, you've been in the personal development space, where your programs have been used by I think over 100,000 people. You've received your PhD in human development, where you studied relationship between leaders and followers.
Mhm.
And then this year, you're publishing another book on kind of your research, which is called Science and the Leader Follower Relationship, which I have a little advanced copy here, which I appreciate and enjoy the read. So, uh, before we kind of get to the details of your business and everything going on right now, tell us a little bit more about kind of your PhD and really what the interest was and really what the research was all about.
So, it's it's a fun story because I did my bachelor's and my master's degree in Britain. So when I lived there, we were just talking about living there, and both of them had aspects of research in them. And I thought this is fun. I mean, my master's degree actually is completely by research, and I really enjoyed doing it. I like the thinking about things. I like looking at things and explaining things and talking to people. So that it's just fun. Uh, and then 25 years later, I decided to do it again. And so I started my PhD, and the intention of the PhD was to write a book. And it was to give more visibility to our company. It's kind of like a calling card, per
Mhm.
se. But then there's also this curiosity that I've always had about the magic in life, the things we don't see, the things that are hard to explain. And I wanted to see, well, can I use some science and explain some of this? And so that's what the PhD was about.
Got it. And what were you thinking? So the goal is kind of to write the book, but who would you say let's say the audience of the book, like what, who are you really hoping to make an impact with from that book, and then in turn, the research to support that book?
Well, it can help a lot of people at a lot of levels. Do you know what I mean? So, I mean, the book itself gets people thinking about relationships because they're complex. When you look at the science, actually, what's in the book is only a piece of the science that actually goes into it because my dissertation is a lot more complex in terms of the theoretical argument. But there's a lot of complexity in the relationships, and there's a lot of unconscious impact on how people connect with each other and how they relate. And when you add into that, the difficulties and everything of being in a relationship with somebody in an organization, then you're really compounding how to have a healthy, close, rewarding relationship.
And how would you describe, I mean, that overall argument, kind of the point that you really wanted to make, and to have your research support, just for everybody kind of listening and watching right now who's going, okay, tell me a little bit more, Sherri, like what were you really trying to prove? How would you just describe it in a very concise way?
We have, we, each one of us grows up with our parents and our in our social systems and in our schools and in our churches and whatever influences are around us. And as we grow, we're socialized. We need each other. We need each other more than we actually know that we need each other, but we need each other. And what happens is that the brain creates some unconscious shortcuts for us and determines based on how we grow up, is this person valuable to me? Is this person valuable to me? Do they exhibit qualities that mean that I want to connect with them?
Mm.
If they do, then I give them time, I give them attention, I want a relationship with them. If they don't, they go into the discard pile. And to the degree that I can do that within an organization, I will just say that person is not going to support me moving forward. And I just make these very quick unconscious assumptions about people. And so I want people to think about that. I want them to understand that people who are different, you know, can really open up your eyes to things in your life. And, the connection between leaders and followers is just
Mm.
tough. There's so many things that put pressure on it and make it difficult.
Do you think that that a lot of people miss opportunities because they dismiss what they don't understand or doesn't kind of fit the box of what they've defined as being desirable?
Well, there's been a lot of research into these unconscious sort of pictures we have. They're idealized pictures of people in our lives. So we've got idealized partners, we've got idealized wife or husband, we've got idealized leaders and idealized followers. And so that's operating constantly in the background. And there's these little tick marks that go off in our head. And we very quickly will decide, yes, this person's value or this person isn't. And from, for a lot of people, I would think they miss out. They
Hmm.
definitely miss out.
Yeah, and I wonder, like, did you find anything in your research that proves that kind of shows, a percentage of opportunities or the percentage of maybe of times where somebody gets something wrong by, like, maybe you could have found a great partner or a great opportunity, but you didn't because, you weren't looking for it, you weren't open to it, you're only looking at like the conventional box, and if it didn't tick that box, you moved on. But maybe there was some great opportunity like sitting right in front of you. Was there anything in your research that kind of spoke to that?
Well, I didn't actually look at that. There is a bunch of research that does look at that, though, but that
Yeah.
wasn't what mine was about. My research was so I wanted to build a tool that could actually test, people's unconscious thoughts.
Hmm.
That could actually say these are the ones that are going on, these are the ones that are contributing to the quality of the relationship. So what I did was I created a tool, and it's a questionnaire. It takes about 15 minutes to fill out. And so you fill out this questionnaire, and then there's 7 questions that look at the relationships. And then I hired a statistician because I'm not great at that stuff. So I hired a statistician, and we had to actually create the correct statistical tests to use on this. But then, so what ended up happening was the company that I worked with, they ended up with a score between 0 and 5 for the quality of the leader follower relationship, and which one of these things that I call the implicit social elements actually were statistically related and had a relationship with that score. And so uh, that's what my research actually focused on.
Got it. So you developed this tool. How do you now actually go about using that from a business perspective? Because I think a lot of people would like to do something similar, maybe not as in depth, in terms of doing a whole PhD to be able to find the research to develop the tool, but they can figure out some way to create a quiz or an assessment or something along those lines. So you have this piece of intellectual property, this tool. How do you now go about using that to build a business? Are you using that on the front end to generate leads and inquiries? Is it only when a client is actually paying you and it's part of the engagement? Just kind of walk us through how you've been using that tool in your business.
So it's on the front end. Uh, so we're just starting out and getting the word out about this, because the first idea was let's get the book out and get some people excited about the possibility. I have several people that have looked at it and are thinking about using it. So what the tool does is you have to choose at least 200 people in the organization. So you can choose a group, you can choose a particular function, whatever you want to do, you choose 200 people and you run through this test. And so what the results do is they say, okay, in your organization, this is your score out of 5 that you're getting for the relationship between leaders and followers. And that's interesting, right? Because this tool for the relationship was actually previously just used on personal relationships. And the highest score anybody got was a B+. So, when you're looking at it with organizations, then you're looking at the culture of the organization. You're actually starting to say, okay, relationships are the basis of everything. They're the basis of all decisions that get made. They're the basis of the culture in the organization. And so, for example, in the organization that I worked with, The ones that came out as the most critical were trust and status. And the interesting thing was the reason behind that was because they were actually going through layoffs. Now they hadn't done them yet. They were about to do them, but people know, right? People know when this stuff is going to happen. So all of a sudden you have trust, which is obvious. Am I going to get laid off? And then status is how valued am I to the organization, which is kind of an interesting thing that came out of it. So the way I want to use this tool is that we talk to people and we say, look, you got to get the top people in the group or the division or the organization involved in this. Get 200 people to do it. And we got to have a conversation. What do you want to do about it?
Right.
What do you want to do about whether, so there's 7, what I call implicit social elements. It's fairness, status, trust, empathy, reciprocity, mutual recognition, respect, and self-control. And so you can take any one of those, and it's an interesting conversation for an organization to have. There's one particular company I'm talking to right now, and what they're thinking is respect is a big deal. And mutual recognition, respect, to have a conversation about that with a group of people. What does respect mean to you? What does it mean to you? And
Sorry, just to sort of cut you off for a second, but to jump
sorry.
in. So how do you use the tool itself? So you mentioned like it's on a website, right? People can go through it. They need at least 200 people. So it's not just a small company. Like you're really targeting to your ideal client, which is larger organizations.
Mhm.
And is the path that they take, kind of they fill it in, then you get the result, kind of the data back from that. Then you use that to sit down and talk with the leaders about what the findings are, and from that it would turn into what? Into trainings, into workshops, into coaching. Like what would be the follow on? How would you then help them to take those findings and turn them into results throughout the organization?
Yeah, so it really depends on what the organization wants to do. So another organization that I'm talking to about potentially using it, they've got this whole set of values that they want to implement in the organization.
Right.
And these are some of them. So this helps them take a look at where their gaps are, where they need to go. So then the next steps are, okay, what do you want to do about it? Which ones do you want to focus on? And how do you want to do that? So for example, our top training program that we have is called Positive Power and Influence. Well, that can be a customized program to be able to help people talk about whatever it is, whether it's empathy or reciprocity or whichever one of the pieces it is.
Right.
So yes, it could be a straightforward training program. It can be a customized one. It can be coaching, probably coaching at senior levels, and then training for the organization. But, part of it too is that people have to decide, what does this mean in our organization?
How are you even opening those conversations? I mean, so let's say you have this tool. How have you decided who to approach? Are these people that you know, or people that you don't know, or a mix? And what are you saying to get them? Because it's a big commitment, even though it's not a full-on engagement. 200 people in an organization to go through a tool, that takes time. So even if it's not a lot of time for them to do it, it's still a level of commitment. How are you kind of positioning this so that people are receptive to it, and are open to actually move forward?
It's a long conversation and it's not a quick sales cycle. So
Mm-hmm.
let's just, in my opinion, I mean, again, I'm just moving into doing this particular thing. It's brand new product for us. So it's, but I'm planting seeds. So I'm giving people books. I'm talking to them about it. I have a PowerPoint, and I try to sort of connect with them in terms of how it fits with what else they're doing in their organization and what it supports. Mostly it's people that I know. So it's people that I'm already working with. I've also offered to do pilots for free. And there's a specific thing around it, trying to get, at least 4 pilots done. So I have some actual results other than the research that I did to share with people. So, it's an ongoing developing process. Let's put it that way.
So this is a really a new initiative for you, right? This tool. So the
Mhm.
book is connected to the tool. You got the tool that then will turn into training, workshops, coaching, some sort of paid engagement. Um,
That's the idea.
right. So let's kind of go back a little bit in time because you've had programs that have impacted 100,000 some odd people.
Mhm.
What have you been doing over the last many years? And maybe your marketing has changed over time, but if you were to kind of hit on what has worked best for you to generate revenue, to win new client engagements, what stands out for you as being kind of the most effective way of making that happen?
You know, I think it's believing in your brand, believing in what you bring to people. And if I go back and look over the years, we've done all kinds of analysis. So we've been around since 75. And no, I haven't been around that whole time, but we've been around since 75. And so a lot of people have experienced our programs. And it doesn't matter. We go back and look at things over the years, and it's word of mouth. Word of mouth has always sold us best. So part of the thing is really investing in, you know, having something that's very high quality that really brings people what they need, and you've got to figure out for yourself what that is, right? So, uh, but then, you know, there's also the follow through. There's the experience afterwards. How do you follow up with people? How do you keep it alive? How do you create that experience as an ongoing thing so that they keep talking about you?
And what would you say that you do in that department or the company does in that department that might be a bit unique or different that you think actually gives you an advantage or just, is really supports the success that you have?
Well, one of the things that we know and we've been told repeatedly by customers is that our work changes people's lives. And, I always tell people that what we're doing is we're changing the world one relationship at a time. And so I think the critical thing that we do is that we do training programs, right? So that's well, it used to be a 2 or 3, day experience, and now it's a virtual experience. But we always follow up with people, and we do webinars afterwards. We invite people to, stay connected with us. So I think it's the follow up piece, and it really just is the fact that it does have such a strong impact on people's lives.
Right. Bring a little bit more clarity to when you use the word we a lot in terms of the company. It's not just you. You said it's also been around even before you were part of the company. So um, explain kind of the company, explain the we, and then how did Sherri, end up as part of the we?
So, so the company, we're a small women-owned business in Milford, New Hampshire. So we reside in a colonial house. So it's called Vicky because she's a Victorian, and so that's us here. And then we've got partners all over the world, and a lot of those partners have been connected with us for 40 years or more. And so the program has been delivered internationally, has been translated into, probably 15 languages. And that's been ongoing for a long time. So when I say we, it's because I think of everybody. I think of all our partners.
It's not like it's a partner network but is that partner network directly connected to your company situation management systems? Are you the owner of the intellectual property that your partners use?
Yes.
And
Yes.
then, but you said that you joined it, that it was running even before you in the 70s. So did you acquire the intellectual property, or how did that kind of piece work?
Well, there's a little bit of drama in this whole thing. So my father started up a company around the same time, and he had been connected with the founders in prior businesses. So
Okay.
my father started up a company, which is actually the parent company right now, and so he uh, was delivering and selling the program and for many years, and then there was a bit of a hiccup in the relationship, and so we ended up through probably 10 years of litigation actually acquiring the company. It's quite the story, but we don't have time for it. But and then in that process, my father stepped away and he gave the company to my sister and myself, but there was nothing to it. I think when we took it over, we had, I think, 3 months worth of work and money. And so it's the same as starting up, except that we started off with a lawsuit and a debt.
And would you say that the value of the company at that point, really like the assets, was it the intellectual property that you were using, or was there nothing really there at that time?
So there was two companies, right? So there's LMA and then there's SMS, Situation Management Systems and Life and Management Applications. And so LMA went from about 3 million in value to about 200,000 in the space of about 2 years. And then we had the lawsuit going on. And so the intellectual property was with SMS.
Right.
And so then through this whole convoluted process, we ended up with SMS. So that's how we got the intellectual property.
Okay. Okay. And then I'm really intrigued by this idea of a partner network. How many partners do you now have across the world?
We probably, it kind of goes up and down. So a couple of years ago, we actually sold the intellectual property rights to EMEA, to our partner from Holland. So there's probably about, I think total, even with the individual countries in Europe, we've probably got about 15, somewhere between 15 and 20.
Why go that route? I mean, why the partner route? Why not just say, yeah, we own this intellectual property. We want to be the exclusive providers of it. Here's what we charge. Build up the brand, build up the demand, deliver, and just kind of keep doing that with everyone internal, as opposed to having external partners that are running their own companies. But I'm guessing maybe paid you a licensing fee or something along those lines. Why that path?
So, you always have two choices, right? You can go external or you can go internal. And and we go back and forth because we have the same thing just here in the United States, right? So we have partners in the United States as well. And the dilemma always is you have more control, right, when you do it all yourself,
Right.
but you actually have higher cost.
Mm.
And in our business, your payroll is your highest cost, and people of that caliber that are going to be delivering that kind of business are going to be expensive. Right. So you're always in that thing, and it's the same like with trainers, or consultants. You've got that same dilemma. If they won't sell, then what are they doing when they're not delivering? So there's always this dilemma in our business of trying to figure out, do I keep it internal and go external? And we just decided for us that the best way to do it, and we inherited the way it was, right? So we tried pulling in salespeople and all that kind of stuff. We've gone through so many rounds of it, and have just decided that partners was the best way for us to go. Right. Our sales cycle is a little bit on the long side, so it's kind of tough.
Got you. And so you have these partners, and they're delivering the work, kind of, on your behalf, not on your behalf. I mean, they're using your intellectual property, right, to deliver for clients. How do you actually go and find those partners, or how do they find you? Like let's say I'm going to go, I want to take our intellectual property and build a partner network of people that can help consultants to grow their businesses and take the framework that we've developed. It's proven, hundreds of people through, all that good stuff. How do we go about finding partners if that was something that we wanted to entertain? What's been your experience? What kind of best practices or guidance would you provide on that?
So again, it's like a lot of this too, for small companies, the challenge is that you've got to do most of it based on trust. Because I can't go out and travel around the world and audit everybody's business, and I'm not going to do that to people locally. So a big piece of it is connecting with people that you can create a trusting relationship with. And I mean, I've written lots of contracts. I've done all kinds of stuff to support and structure those relationships. But on the front end, it has to be around trust. And so some of the people I inherited,
Yeah.
and so it's been an interesting journey to say the least. But the best way for me is just networking and talking to people and connecting with people, and going to conferences, and like we do ATD every year, and so we put up a sign if we're looking for partners, and people come in and talk to us. But most people find us, honestly, they ask us to be partners with us.
Right. And what does the model then look like? So you have these partners that go to then deliver based on that intellectual property. Are they paying like an annual licensing fee? Is it monthly fees, or how do you kind of structure that model? What have you found to work well in that department?
So there's two different structures. There's one for domestic and one for international. And the international one is a royalty, and that varies based on the markets, because some markets they just can't charge the same as they can in other
So
markets.
just so is the royalty a percentage of
Per
sales?
person.
Okay, per
For most
person that
people,
goes through the
per person.
training.
Yep.
Got you. Okay.
So for most of those are a per person fee. Um, and then for domestic folks, we have a whole rate. It's like this smorgasbord of options for them, because we can be their back office if they don't have a setup. If they want to go out and sell, there's different commissions. There's all kinds of things that get put together and structured around it. But so it can end up being a per person fee if they do everything themselves, like all the administrative stuff, all the selling, everything. If they do that all themselves, then there's just a per person fee that they pay us. If they want us to be a part of it, then there's some additional fees that come in on that.
Got it. Makes sense. How do you spend most of your time, Sherri, when it comes to, like, so you write, you do research, right? You deliver programs, you're running a business, there's team and partners and all that. How do you kind of structure your typical day or your time to make sure that you're making great progress and just, moving towards your goals? What does that kind of look like for you? What best practices or habits do you leverage?
I am really very self-disciplined.
Hmm.
So um, I just set out what it is that I need to get done in the next week. So, for example, in the next week, I'm doing 2 podcasts, yay, for the book. So, that's that piece of it. And then I have to write an article, a 1,000-word article. So I've got to get that done this week. And then I'm training 2 women to be lead trainers in our virtual programs, because we had to come up with a whole new structure around certifying people, because we have a very strict quality process for other people getting certified to run the programs. So I've got, I think, 6 hours of Zoom with them, getting them to the next step in their process for becoming certified. So it's every week is different, and whatever I set out to do that week, I do. And so you're right. I could get pulled in a lot of different directions, but my focus really is, what is it that I need to do this week? What's on the table this week? And I actually have been trying to remove myself from some of the day-to-day stuff, because of the writing, because of the next steps that I want to take. And that means that I have to actually get other people to take responsibility and be able to do the training and that kind of thing. But we also have a huge network of independent trainers that we use.
Got it. When you look back over the last 12 months, what would you say has been, most successful in terms of moving the business to that next level or creating whatever success is for you, however you would kind of define that, but specifically related to the business? Is there any new strategy, new tactic, an initiative, an adjustment of mindset? What would you say has really stood out to you that's made the last 12 months successful, or you feel really excited about the future because of it?
Well, fortunately, I had actually gotten a couple of our customers interested in virtual training before the pandemic. In fact, one of them said they were so grateful to me for having exposed them to, virtual training because they were ready to go. They could jump into it. So I think the biggest thing that I had to tell people was you can connect with people virtually. You can't, in your head, you can't sit here going, face to face is always much better than virtual. I said, get that out of your head. You cannot be that way because we have to connect with people, help them, support them in the way that we always have, irrespective of whether we're face to face or virtual with them. So, one of the biggest things for me was to get that message through to everybody, to my customers, to my trainers, to my partners, to everybody. Say, it works. You just got to do it. And then the only other piece is that it's been really hard because we lost every single piece of business that we had. Everything got shut down. And so, I'm immediately doing, all the things to create some cash flow that we needed for the organization. But there's this thing that it's funny. And so my sister is also part of the organization. She does sales. And we have this similar mindset that it doesn't matter what happens, the money's going to show up. We will make it. So there's this optimism. There's this constantly looking towards the future. There's belief that what we're doing is good. It's good for the world. It's good for us. So and even what happened this year didn't change that at all.
Right. What was one thing that you and your sister did? So, as you mentioned, when COVID kind of reared its ugly head, many businesses got impacted. Sounds like yours got heavily impacted, right? Wiping out contracts, customers putting things on pause, or just saying, we can't move forward right now. So you need to get cash flow back up and running. What did you and your sister do? What was one thing that you guys did to get cash flow back up and running in an environment which, especially at kind of the most acute time, many organizations weren't ready to invest or were holding off or were cutting back. What did you guys do? What was one thing that you would say, yeah, this was really a successful effort on our part?
Well, I mean, so we're in New Hampshire, and New Hampshire hasn't been a particularly hard hit state with COVID. And so Governor Sununu was a little bit slow to declare us as in a state of emergency, which meant we couldn't apply for any of the support, the EIDL and the PPP. So we were on the phone with all of the representatives and senators and everybody going, push Sununu, get this declaration done, get it done, get it done, get it done. And we were right on top of getting those applications in. And so I think that's what helped us survive in the beginning. But then we really also, the other thing we started doing was just immediately moving clients over to the virtual world. And so, there's still some that are very reluctant, but we're slowly, they're slowly realizing that, hey, this is the way we have to do this. So they're all slowly kind of moving over to it.
Fantastic. Well, Sherri, thank you again so much for coming on here today. I want to make sure that people can learn more about you and your new book. Where's the best place for them to go?
Go to smsinc.com.
Perfect. We will have that linked up in the show notes. Sherri, again, thank you.
Thank you, Michael. It was a delight.